All right. Good start to the week with the walkthrough of in preparation. This is next game on the schedule that presents a lot of preparation problems. They do a great job schematically, extremely well coached defense, and they're as talented as anybody. They got elite talent on both sides of the ball, and you look at how they played at times of the year. This is the same team 2 weeks ago that's ahead of Georgia in the fourth quarter. The same team that really outplays Texas and beats Texas earlier in the year. So you guys have heard me probably refer to, I think there's a blackout game every year that everybody has on especially one side of the ball. And so I think last week's game, the Kentucky's an outlier for them. The Kentucky quarterback was on fire and made about every play. And so we got to be ready to play against a team that's really dangerous.
Lane, after getting Austin in there in the second half, finally getting them kind of long-term reps, just moving forward with each game now is kind of an important game. How do you feel about that room with both guys maybe getting put in big spots?
Yeah, I feel great about our quarterback room. I love our whole system of what we do with them. And, actually, somebody said this morning, if you think about since the helmet player-to-coach communication has come around, I think that our quarterbacks have thrown for more than anyone else in the country, more yards than anybody else. And that's obviously three really good quarterbacks, Jackson last year and these two. And they're just they prepare really well. I think that Charlie does a great job, and Joe Judge and Fisher Ray with them. And so it's just a really, really good system, and they get along really well. And again, I said it last week, I think we have two better quarterbacks than most people's first. And so that's an awesome situation to be in, and just really pleased.
Have you brought up last year's game at all as a source of motivation? There's some similarities.
No, maybe there is, just because we're ranked or something like that. But these teams are so different every year, especially ours. They have a lot of the same players, but most teams are different because of the portal. These guys are heavy high school, so it just doesn't mean very much. We've got to prepare to play. We've got to do a better job in turnover margin. I feel like we're kind of cheating that a little bit, by outplaying teams in other areas or just better players sometimes. And I told them again today, guys, this doesn't sustain the whole season. This is going to get you. We lost the turnover margin again, lost in a number of games. And so we've got things that we've got to fix, and it doesn't matter about who you played last year or the teams and those things.
Another thing I'm curious about is what are the aspects that make up a good job for a college head coach? What's the top of your priority list?
I wasn't ready for that one. I think that's evolved and changed, and there's different things in it. I've said to you guys a couple years ago, I think, and this was before Cap, but I said, I think that it's going to move to, people used to say, okay, when people wanted to hire you or something and interview and what questions do you have, what are your concerns? Okay, people used to say, facilities, how many practice fields, those things. And I said, I don't think, I think that's changed. It's going to change, and it's going to be how much NIL do you have, when it was all collective, how is your collective, how's it run, how much do you have? Because that's before this, that was the salary cap, meaning that's how much money you're going to have. And some people sometimes think, well, okay, that's not a big deal, but just look at professional sports when it's not the same, like baseball and the payrolls, and over time, who wins and who doesn't win. And somebody may have outlier years once in a while, but and so now that's a little equaled out, but there's still, how much are you giving to Rev, to your football program, and then how much do you have collective wise, I think is a big question. But, people will talk about it's narrowed, like I heard Coach Saban say, and some stuff has narrowed, and as I've referred to, because you can't stockpile, at those, whatever blue bloods you want to call it or refer to it. But there's still things there that you're still going to struggle to beat those guys because kids are still recruited and they see size of stadiums and tradition and Heisman's and national championships and then your location, to talent. So I think all those are in there, but it's slid a little time over, I think when that question probably early was that what is your assistant coach's pool? Now is what is your player pool?
I know you brought it up a couple weeks ago that you talked to the team about dealing with distractions and rumors and stuff of that nature. Have you had to do that again specifically with this game this week?
I mean, I haven't even talked about it to them, and I haven't had one of them. And I think I'm pretty close to the players where they walk by or they say something, like if it was on their mind, they'd make a joke or something. I don't think it is. I think that they're very focused on what to do. Again, I said it's a different age nowadays, like when I addressed it a couple weeks ago, and I certainly don't think it was a distraction since. We won Oklahoma, South Carolina, played really well last week. I just said, hey, this is kind of the world that you're in. You guys now are used to this where players didn't used to, I mean, these guys get way more of it than I do. They get calls on Saturday night after games from other coaches talking about next year and how much money they have for them and their plans for them and their system. So I don't think it's that big a deal.
You kind of mentioned this in this era. What's more important? Is it the program itself, or is it the coaches that run the program? I mean, Indiana didn't win, and now they're winning with Cignetti. Georgia Tech really didn't win; they're winning with Brent Key. Ole Miss hasn't won the way that it's won with you. Is it the coach that's most important?
Yeah, there's not an analytic for that, of what percentage that is. I've always said coaching matters, Kids want to go where they've seen coaches that have produced players that get players better schematically, like the stat we just said with quarterbacks. I mean, if you're a quarterback out there, I would think it'd be a pretty important thing that the quarterback's here throwing for more yards than me, but he wants the helmet communication started. So I think that, that it's just the kid weighs it. They probably weigh the coach, they weigh the school, where is it, the tradition, do I want to live there, and then what am I going to make? And every kid probably has a different scale of what their percentage is of importance.
I know you're not focused on it all, like you said a couple weeks ago, but just, I mean, if Florida wants you and if Ole Miss wants you, it'll necessitate you making a decision. I was just curious, like with the portal opening on January 2nd, do you even have time to think about that, or how important is it to come to whatever decision before the portal opens?
I don't know. I'm not that far down the road. I said it last week, and you guys think I was joking, or the South Carolina, like everybody wants to talk about other jobs and everything, and I think you're 2-3 weeks away from coaching for your own job, so you better make sure you're doing really well where you are, because as we've seen out there, I've said one win put you out of the top 10, now 2 wins might put you out of the top 25, and 3 might get you fired. So I ain't figured all that out. I'm trying to keep our winning streak, get to 8-0 at home, and like I said, I think last week, talking to Landry is really cool that I forgot the stat now, if you're a junior here, and you've gone to all the home games, you've seen 1 loss. If you're a 5th-year senior, you've seen 3 losses, I think, in 5 years. So that's a pretty cool thing. So it'd be awesome to finish this home run for the season with our last home game here.
And I think Lagway, just on this next game, I think Lagway is supposed to play. Just what are the challenges, even on a team that's having a rough year, like what are the challenges of going against a guy like DJ who can light it up any given week?
Yeah, I think DJ's really what the whole team is, when I say the concerns. Extremely talented at times plays at an elite level, and it is a problem. Like they're basically most of their position groups. Extremely talented. At times you watch film and say, man, these guys are as good as anybody in the country. And DJ's like that. So, he played great against us 1 year ago. And anytime you got somebody that's got an elite arm and really hard to tackle like him, and can run over you, that's an issue.
I asked you last week, so I'm just a little curious now that the first CFP rankings are out, where you guys were, where the league was. Were you encouraged by that?
I think in some ways a little bit, but I think that some other people have pointed out, in other ways, no. Like, Texas A&M being 3. What more do you want them to do to be 1? Like I said, when people want to schedule and they say, okay, man, we need you to schedule hard teams. You're going to have now 9 SEC and then play another hard one. Well, they went up to Notre Dame and won. So those people that say, man, those schedules are worth it to play that. What if they didn't play Notre Dame? If they just played whoever and just had an easy win, they'd be ranked in the same spot. So what good did that do if that's not rewarded? So they got the highest metrics of everybody, and they're not number 1. So I don't know. Again, you talk about those 2 teams right there, put them on a neutral site, ask Vegas who would win, what's the spread. And that, to me, shows more than people sitting around a room just guessing.
Any questions for Coach?
Oxford High School has a playoff game this week. Do you help Knox prepare at all? And if so, how does that prep look the same or different from what you tell your quarterbacks at Ole Miss?
That's a better question than yours. I don't much. I stay out of it. I think Coach Cutcliffe does a great job with the team, with the offense, with the quarterbacks specifically. And I just was never going to be that parent because I've dealt with a lot of parents like that, especially that position. So I try to be the refreshing quarterback parent. And at the end of the game last week, in some situations, I was like 20 yards away from Cutcliffe, and it took everything not to say, hey, man, like run this ball to the right here because the field goal, I don't even do that, even as a head coach. So I'm just excited that he gets the opportunity to play. They got such a cool team, and they have all these comebacks, and it was just awesome to watch. And it's just the whole thing's really cool, watching him. And then Landry's, my daughter's next to me watching him, and she's got a face of him and her friends. And then I didn't invite him. I didn't even know. And then all of a sudden I look down, and Trinidad's there, and Kiwan's there, and Winnie's there. And then he's throwing a touchdown to Coach Smith's kid that they used to be little kids on the boat together back in Boca. It's just the whole experience is awesome. We're very, very blessed for all that to come together.
You let yourself be dad in those moments, or is it impossible to get the football coach out of your head when you're watching football?
Well, then I was mad at the refs, but I didn't say anything because they're like the last play there was 10 seconds and there was injury. I'm like, this game's over. It's 10-second runoff. And then like someone was by me, the AD at the score. Somebody's like, yeah, there's not a 10-second runoff in high school. I didn't know. I think I do a really good job of it, like of controlling emotions. Kevin Smith, our running back coach, isn't so good, but it's cool too. I mean, one time he was celebrating with them in the end zone when they scored. Ran there, and I don't even like high five them as they come off or anything. I try to make sure that I don't overstep my boundaries or disturb Knox. Let him play. Let him have his time. I don't want to like overshadow anything. Unless there's wedding proposals, engagements, then I do. All right, thanks.